Okay, let's unpack this. Are you envisioning that ideal home lab? The kind of system that's not just powerful, but, truly dependable, perfectly aligned with your tech ambitions.
Right.
Especially if you're running Proxmox virtual environment with ZFS RAID 1, there's a specific component that can really impact your setup stability.
And that's the SSD, right? The host SSD.
Exactly. The solid-state drive you choose for your host machine.
We've noticed quite a bit of buzz online in tech communities.
Yeah, lots of talk about high-endurance SSDs.
Particularly for home labs juggling, say, multiple virtual machines.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how ZFS's inherent write patterns. They demand a very specific type of SSD.
Okay.
Selecting one that smartly balances endurance, reliability, and cost is absolutely pivotal for a successful build.
Right. So this deep dive, we're going to explore why endurance is paramount for your Proxmox host.
Yeah, and evaluate some top SSD options that are making waves in recent discussions, and hopefully give you the clear insights needed to make a genuinely informed decision.
Whether you're planning, say, a Docker container server, maybe a TrueNAS VM, or even a Windows 11 environment, these choices, these SSDs, they really set a strong foundation for your home lab.
Okay, so let's get into the heart of why this matters for your home lab. We know Proxmox VE, it's an incredibly robust open source virtualization platform.
Absolutely. Great piece of software.
And pairing it with ZFS RAID 1 gives you exceptional data integrity and redundancy. Like, that's the goal.
That's the promise, yeah. But there's a catch.
But here's a critical detail that I think often catches people off guard when it comes to ZFS and SSD specifically.
Right. It's copy-on-write mechanism, CoW.
CoW, yes. While it's brilliant for data consistency, it can be unexpectedly taxing on SSDs.
Very taxing. Due to something called write amplification.
Right, write amplification. Could you clarify what that means for us? Maybe break it down a bit.
Absolutely. So here's the critical, maybe counterintuitive insight with ZFS. It's copy-on-write. It ensures data integrity by never overwriting existing data directly.
Okay, never overwrites.
Instead, when you make a change, ZFS writes a new copy of the modified data block somewhere else on the drive.
A whole new copy.
Think of it like this. Imagine you're changing just one paragraph in a book. Most file systems, they'd just rewrite that paragraph right there.
Makes sense.
ZFS, because of CIW, effectively rewrites the entire page and creates a new one, keeping the old one for consistency until the transaction completes.
Ah, okay. So a small change triggers a much larger write.
That's write amplification in action. A small logical change can lead to a much, much larger amount of physical data being written to your SSD.
And that accelerates wear, right?
Massively accelerates wear. Even a modest workload, like you mentioned, just 3 VMs for Docker, TrueNAS, Windows 11, that can generate significant write operations. And this can wear down normal consumer-grade SSDs much, much faster than you might expect.
Which brings us back to the high-endurance drives.
Exactly. This is why high-endurance SSDs, particularly enterprise or data center grade models, they're engineered specifically to handle these demands.
Okay.
They offer crucial features like power loss protection, PLP,
right,
and much higher terabytes written or TBW ratings.
That analogy really paints a clear picture. So it's not just about the amount of data you store on the drive.
No, not all.
It's the way ZFS writes it, that constant rewriting.
Precisely.
And online tech enthusiasts, they really emphasize this point. For a Proxmox host, the SSD hosting the operating system, it doesn't actually need massive capacity.
No, small capacity is usually fine.
We're talking maybe 120 GB to 256 GBB, often sufficient for the OS and maybe some ISO files.
Yeah, that's plenty.
However, it absolutely must withstand the constant writes from ZFS's internal logging and metadata operations, those background writes.
And that's precisely where PLP becomes indispensable, power loss protection.
Why is that so critical for ZFS?
Well, enterprise SSDs with PLP, they have capacitors on board. If the power cuts suddenly, those capacitors provide enough juice to flush any data sitting in the drive's temporary buffer safely to the permanent NAND flash.
Ah, okay. So it prevents losing writes that were in progress.
Exactly. Which prevents data corruption, a huge risk with ZFS if writes aren't completed atomically. So PLP is a critical safeguard.
Non-negotiable, basically.
Pretty much. Meanwhile, those robust TBW ratings, they directly translate to longevity, how long the drive will last under that constant write pressure.
Got it. Okay, so given these requirements, let's explore some of the top SSD recommendations people are talking about, see how they stack up for, typical home lab.
Sounds good.
Recent online conversations have really highlighted several high-endurance SSDs available from places like Server Parts Deal.
Right. They're a popular source for this kind of gear.
And what's particularly compelling about these specific options is that they're all refurbished.
Yeah, which makes them incredibly economical.
For home lab enthusiasts looking for those enterprise-grade features like PLP and high endurance, but without, emptying their wallet.
Exactly. You get data center level durability often at a price point that's closer to consumer drives. It's a great value proposition.
And all these top contenders we're about to dive into, they're priced under $75 cents, which is pretty amazing.
It really is.
Okay, so among these promising refurbished options, the Intel Dell SSDSC2KB960G7R 04T7DD960GP, that one consistently pops up in discussions.
Yeah, I've seen that model mentioned a lot.
Often around, say, $74.99. It seems to be a popular choice for its balance of capacity, endurance, and price.
Makes sense. What are the specs like?
It's got a 1 drive write per day, or DWPD, rating.
Okay, 1 DWPD.
Which means it can handle approximately 960 GB of writes daily for 5 years.
Wow, that's a lot of writing.
Yeah, it translates to a robust TBW around 1,752 terabytes written.
It's huge endurance.
And crucially, it includes PLP, making it a really reliable pick for ZFS RAID 1.
Okay, so it ticks the boxes. Endurance, PLP.
Right. Users do note, though, that 960 GB is definitely more capacity than a Proxmox boot drive needs.
Yeah, like we said, 120, 256 GB is often enough.
But the price-to-capacity ratio here is very compelling. You get a lot of enterprise drive for the money.
True. Sometimes bigger is cheaper per gigabyte, especially in the refurbished market.
Exactly. Now, another standout, especially for budget-conscious builders, is the HP Micron 5100 Max MTFD 960 TCC 960 GB.
Ah, Micron. Good reputation.
Yeah, and this one's often found at just $58.99.
Oh, wow, that's even cheaper.
It is. This Micron drive offers similar endurance to the Intel Dell model, also boasting a 1 DWPD rating.
Same endurance, lower price.
Yeah.
Interesting. Does it have PLP?
Yes, PLP support is included. Enthusiasts frequently praise Micron's reputation for reliability.
Yeah, they make solid drives.
We saw one user reporting a Micron 5300 Max performing rock solid as surveillance storage, which is also write-intensive.
Good sign. So for a home lab with typical, maybe light to moderate workloads, this drive delivers those enterprise-grade features at a remarkably accessible price.
Seems like a really strong contender, especially on price.
Definitely.
Then there's the HP Generation 8, MK0000DR96's GWECK 960GBB, also around that $58.99 mark.
Another HP branded one, okay.
Yeah, this HP drive matches the Micron's price point and seems to offer comparable enterprise-level endurance.
Comparable endurance. Specific DWPD ratings may be less clear.
Right. While specific DWPD ratings aren't as widely detailed in the discussions for this particular HP model, its data center design clearly includes PLP.
Okay, so the crucial PLP is there.
Making it well-suited for a ZFS RAID 1. Users recommend this drive for its affordability and, again, robust performance.
Makes sense. Any downsides mentioned?
Well, some users do express a slight preference for Micron or Intel, maybe just due to brand familiarity or perceived track record. But functionally, it seems solid.
Gotcha. Brand preference is always a factor.
And finally, the Dell G13, G14 SSDSC2KB960G7R 04T7DD 960GB of $74.99.
Wait, that model number sounds familiar.
It is. These Dell-branded drives are essentially rebadged Intel SSDSC2KB960G7R models.
Ah, so basically the same drive as the first one we talked about.
Pretty much, meaning they offer identical specs to that first option, 1 DWPD, PLP.
Okay, so equally well suited for Proxmox hosts.
Exactly. The consistent pricing across the Dell and the straight Intel models suggests they're pretty interchangeable.
Availability might just be the deciding factor then, whichever branding is in stock or slightly cheaper that day.
Precisely.
So those are some solid refurbished options, but what about real-world experiences? People actually using these or similar drives?
Right. Online discussions offer a rich trove of those. Real-world experiences that can really guide your choice. And here's where we get some truly surprising insights.
Oh, go on.
Okay, so one user running a Proxmox setup since 2019, they were using Silicon Power 120 gigabit SATA SSDs, consumer drives.
Okay, standard consumer SATA. In a ZFS mirror.
Yes, in a ZFS mirror.
Yes.
They report, get this, zero wear after years of use.
Zero? Really? On consumer drives with ZFS?
Zero wear reported. And this is despite a fairly active workload. They mentioned running Pi-hole, Minecraft server, Plex, even TrueNAS VMs.
Wow, that is quite unexpected. It kind of flies in the face of the ZFS kills consumer SSDs narrative, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests that for very light, or perhaps specific kinds of home lab use, even consumer-grade SSDs can potentially hold up, especially if you monitor them carefully.
Right. Monitoring is key there. But what else did they say? Any caveats?
Yes, crucially, that same user still wisely cautions that ZFS's fundamentally write-heavy nature makes enterprise SSDs with PLP a significantly safer bet.
Safer bet. Okay. For long-term peace of mind and longevity.
Exactly, especially as workloads might grow over time. So it's possible, but maybe not ideal or recommended for everyone.
Makes sense. An interesting data point, but maybe not a general recommendation. What else?
Another user running a single SSD for their Proxmox host No Mirror argued that wear issues are often more about underlying hardware defects in a specific drive.
Rather than Proxmox or ZFS itself being the sole cause.
Right. They propose that any SSD with decent endurance, say 1 DWPD or higher, will perform adequately for a boot drive.
Especially if the heavy lifting, the VMs themselves, are stored elsewhere.
Precisely. Particularly if VMs are stored on a separate higher performance NVMe drive. They mentioned using a Samsung 990 in their setup for that.
Okay, separating the OS drive workload from the VM disk workload. That makes sense.
And this aligns with the general consensus we talked about. 120 GB to 240 GB is generally ample for the host OS drive itself.
Freeing up budget for maybe that faster NVMe for VMs or just sticking with reliable SATA for the boot drives.
Yeah.
What about specific enterprise recommendations beyond the refurbished deals? Any models people favor?
For those prioritizing enterprise features but maybe looking for slightly older, more budget-conscious, new or used options, Samsung PM863 drives are frequently recommended.
Ah, yes, the PM series versus the SM series from Samsung.
Exactly. The PM863s have a DWPD of around 0.3, so less durable on paper than the SM series drives.
Which offer like 3 DWPD or even higher, right? Designed for more intense writes.
Correct. However, the PM863's inclusion of PLP and their typically lower cost make them a solid choice for many home lab scenarios, according to users.
So maybe not for a heavy database workload, but for a Proxmox host OS drive?
It could be perfectly adequate. One user specifically noted that SM drives are really ideal for truly write-heavy production environments. But PM drives typically suffice for most hobbyists.
Good distinction. Anything else stand out from the community insights?
Well, there was a suggestion to use a 64 GB Optane NVMe drive, Intel Optane.
Oh, Optane. Super high endurance, incredibly low latency, but usually pricey and lower capacity.
Right. But the suggestion was met with some skepticism, particularly for RAID 1.
Ah, because you'd need 2 of them for the mirror.
Exactly. Using dual Optane drives for RAID 1 would consume 2 valuable NVMe slots.
Which many motherboards, especially in home lab builds, just don't have to spare, or you want them for faster VM storage.
Right. So while Optane has phenomenal endurance, it might not be practical or necessary for a simple boot drive mirror in many setups.
Yeah, probably overkill and uses up slots better used elsewhere. Okay, that's a lot of good community feedback.
Definitely. So pulling this all together, as you, the listener, piece together your Proxmox host, what are the most crucial factors, the key things to consider to get the best blend of performance and, well, lasting value?
Okay, let's summarize. First, absolutely endurance, measured by DWPD or TBW.
Right.
We've seen that a 1 DWPD rating seems generally sufficient for most home labs. It provides potentially many years of reliable performance for ZFS RAID 1.
Like that Intel Dell drive's 1,752 TB TBW rating that ensures longevity even with ZFS's RAID amplification.
Exactly. Now, if your budget allows, sure, going for something like an SM series drive with 3 DWPD offers excellent headroom, future-proofing, you might call it. But 1 DWPD seems like a solid baseline.
Okay. Factor 1, endurance. What's next?
Factor 2, power loss protection, PLP.
Which we established is pretty much non-negotiable for ZFS.
Absolutely. It's the critical safeguard against data corruption during unexpected power outages. Can't stress that enough for ZFS.
And the good news is that all those server part steel options we discussed, the Intel, Dell, HP, Micron ones, they all include PLP.
Right. So those refurbished enterprise drives check that box reliably. Makes them secure choices.
Okay. Endurance, PLP, what else?
Third, capacity needs. Think realistically about how much space you actually need for the host OS drive.
Like we said, 120 GB to 240 GB is typically ample, just for the OS, logs, maybe some ISOs.
Exactly. The 960 GB drives we listed, yes, they're certainly overkill in terms of raw capacity just for the OS.
But they offer that exceptional value per gigabyte, especially under $75.
Right. So don't overbuy capacity if a smaller, reliable enterprise drive is available cheaper, but don't shy away from the larger ones if the price is right, like those refurbished deals.
Makes sense. Value versus absolute need.
Number 4.
Fourth factor, the RAID 1 configuration itself, mirroring 2 SSDs.
Recommended by many experienced users.
Highly recommended. It significantly enhances redundancy, protects you against a single drive failure. You just replace the failed drive, CFS for silvers, and you're back to full redundancy. And that's particularly important for ZFS, which really benefits from consistent performance across mirror drives, right?
Yes, it expects that consistency. So 2 identical drives in a mirror is the ideal setup for a ZFS boot pool.
Okay, and finally,
number 5, monitoring wear. Don't just set it and forget it, especially if you do opt for less high-endurance drives.
use tools like smart monitoring.
Exactly. Smartly on Linux. Track your SSD's wear indicators, things like percentage used or media wear out indicator.
You can eye on it.
It helps you identify any excessive write activity early before it becomes a problem. Remember that users experience only 6% wear on Samsung Evo consumer drives after years.
Yeah.
That highlights how monitoring gives you real data on your specific workload and drive health. It takes the guesswork out.
Great summary. Endurance, PLP, capacity, RAID 1, monitoring. Got it.
So those are the key considerations based on the community feedback and the nature of ZFS.
Now, beyond the fantastic refurbished options we've explored, what about newer tech? Recent advancements in SSD technology must offer some exciting possibilities too.
Oh, absolutely. Enterprise SSDs like the Micron 5300 and the newer 7450 series, they often get mentioned.
Right, and they leverage things like 3D TLC NAND. Can you tell us a bit more about what that actually means? Why is it a game changer?
Sure. So 3D NAND, basically, instead of laying memory cells flat on the silicon die, they stack them vertically. Think skyscrapers versus single-story buildings.
Okay, stacking them up.
This dramatically increases storage density, letting you pack more gigabytes into the same physical space. But it's not just about capacity.
No, what else?
The structure itself and the associated manufacturing processes often allow for improved durability and overall performance characteristics compared to older planar NAND.
Ah, so more endurance from the structure itself.
Generally, yes. It means these drives, even using TLC triple-level cell NAND, which stores 3 bits per cell, can handle more writes and last longer. It's a crucial advancement for persistent workloads, like you'd see with virtualization or ZFS.
Okay, and you mentioned the Micron 7450.
Yeah, the 7450, that's an NVMe drive, often recommended for actual VM storage because it's much faster than SATA and still has impressive durability thanks to that modern NAND and enterprise firmware.
But pricier, presumably.
Oh yeah, definitely pricier than the SATA options we've been focusing on for the boot drives, but great for VMs if the budget allows.
So for budget folks, those refurbished data center SSDs from places like eBay or Server Parts Deal, they really seem like a sweet spot.
They really are. They offer near-new performance levels, the PLP, the high endurance, all at a fraction of the original cost. It's almost like a secret weapon for building cost-effective but robust home labs.
A secret weapon, I like that. What about Intel Optane? We touched on it briefly.
Right. Optane technology, well, kind of niche now. It still provides exceptionally high endurance, like orders of magnitude more than NAND flash, and super low latency.
Good for specific, very write-heavy workloads.
Exactly. Intense database logging, ZFS, S-log devices, that kind of thing. However, it's higher cost, and as we discussed, the requirement for dedicated NVMe slots make it less practical for just a simple RAID 1 boot drive setup.
Unless you happen to have spare NVMe slots and a very specific need.
Precisely. Probably not the first choice for most Proxmox boot pools.
Okay, so boiling it all down. For most Proxmox users out there building a ZFS RAID 1 host, what's our top recommendation from everything we've discussed?
Considering everything, the price, the performance, the essential features, I think the Intel Dell SSDSC2KB960G7R for around $74.99 really hits the sweet spot.
That first one we mentioned, why that one specifically?
It strikes that perfect balance. Endurance with 1 DWPD is solid for ZFS. Reliability is there with the essential PLP support. And the 960 GB capacity, while maybe overkill, ensures it can easily handle ZFS's demands and gives you plenty of room for the OS, logs, ISOs, maybe even some small utility containers directly on the host if you wanted. Plus, that price for an enterprise drive is hard to beat.
So pair 2 of those in a ZFS mirror.
Yep, pair 2 of those. You'll establish a truly robust and redundant foundation for your Docker, your TrueNAS, your Windows VMs, whatever you're running.
And if budget is the absolute primary concern, like every dollar counts.
Then the HP Micron 500 Max at $58.99 is an extremely close runner-up.
The cheaper Micron option.
Yeah. It delivers very similar performance. Same 1 DWPD, also has PLP, just at an even lower price point. Can't really go wrong with either, but the Micron saves you a bit more cash.
Excellent. Okay, so choosing the right SSD for your Proxmox host, it feels like it's more than just a technical decision, doesn't it?
It really is. It's a foundational step towards optimizing your home lab's potential. It's reliability.
The Intel Dell SSDSC2KB960G7R, the HP Micron 500 Max, and other similar high-endurance drives, they offer the reliability and the consistent performance needed to confidently manage ZFS's demanding write patterns.
And by prioritizing those key factors we identified, endurance, power loss protection, redundancy via RAID 1, you can build a system that's both, well, exciting to tinker with, but also truly designed for the long haul.
Yeah, built to last.
And as those community insights showed, even carefully monitored modest SSDs can perform okay for lighter tasks.
Right. That zero-wear example.
But enterprise-grade drives, even refurbished ones, they provide that substantial extra layer of confidence, that sort of worry-free setup peace of mind.
Peace of mind is a good way to put it.
So whether you're aiming for the thrill of a perfectly optimized home lab, or you simply want a steadfast, reliable Proxmox host that you don't have to constantly fret about, these kinds of SSDs really empower you to achieve those goals.
So thinking about all this, what stands out to you listening right now about this deep dive? Maybe think about your own home lab setup or the one you're planning. We've explored that whole spectrum, right? From carefully monitoring more modest SSDs, which is possible,
That requires diligence.
to the significant advantages and, frankly, the peace of mind that comes with these enterprise-grade drives. Considering your own priorities, maybe your tolerance for risk or tinkering,
Yeah.
what aspects of your setup could most benefit from this kind of hands-off reliability that enterprise drives offer versus maybe the more hands-on approach of detailed monitoring with potentially less robust hardware? Where does that trade-off make sense for you?